But let me ask you this. Why is it good for Americans? Why should Americans pay for legal representation for people here illegally? You sneak in, taxpayers pay for your lawyer, you sponsor legislation that would allow that. How does that benefit Americans exactly?
I think it's keeping true to who we are. When you have asylum seekers from the most violent, brutal countries in the world, like El Salvador, who are young kids or young families, I want to make sure that they have every opportunity to apply for asylum in this country, knowing the laws, having an advocate, and aren't returned to a country where they face, in some cases, certain death.
But these are people, just to be clear, that came here illegally. They didn't come as refugees through one of our many programs to bring refugees here.
Very often they came as asylum seekers who presented themselves to Border Patrol agents at the border, to customs officers at the ports of entry. And
so then taxpayers are paying for them to fight American law in court? I mean, can you see why people would say...
Not to fight American law, actually to get right with American law, to make sure that they show up to their court hearings, to make sure that they follow our laws. I think again, that's in everyone's interest. But if you're concerned about security...
For us to pay for lawyers so they can fight deportation, that's somehow good for us. Why is it good for us to pay for the health care bills of people who snuck in here against our law? Why did you sponsor legislation that would have allowed that too?
It's good for people who are in our country, who are contributing to this country's success, to be safe, to be healthy, to be able to continue to contribute.
Did the law specify, did your bill specify it only applied to people who were benefiting our country? I don't think it did. I think it was anybody here illegally would get free health care at taxpayer expense. I'm sorry, with all respect, I'm confused by why we should pay for the health care of someone who broke our law to get here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think you're reading the bill correctly.
I think I am.
And I think you're losing sight of the benefit that we gain by those who are contributing to our communities, our states, and our country's success.
Did that law specify that only people contributing to our country would get free health care, or did it also apply to, I don't know, gang members or vagrants? I think they were covered too, weren't they?
I think there's an interest in making sure that if someone is going to be sick, if someone needs help, that we deliver it in the most efficient, effective, cost-effective way possible.
So it's cost-effective to pay for the health care of people here.
Yeah, I mean, you can pay for it in the emergency room.
How about not paying for it at all?
Yeah.
So Tucker's question to Beto is really straightforward, but Beto is just like dodging the specifics to his question. Tucker wants to know, is it fair for taxpayers to pay for legal representation for those people who have snuck into our country illegally? Is that fair? And so Beto goes into answering in a way that totally just disregards the specifics to his question about people who have snuck into this country, not through the way that they're supposed to come in. And Beto says, well, for people who have come here, who have left violent countries, you know, that we should support them, and he goes on and on and on. Which, if they came here legally, that's not in question. You know, as Americans, we are here to support and help people who come here legally through our system. So Tucker says for us taxpayers to be paying for legal representation for those who've come into our country, snuck into our country illegally, so that these people can fight deportation, how is that fair? It just raised a big question mark. And then Tucker goes into saying, well, what about health care? Is it fair for taxpayers to pay for people who have come into our country illegally, not through our legal system? Is it fair for us to pay for their health care? And then Beto goes into dodging the specifics again and says, well, if they're contributing to our society, we want to keep them healthy. And he goes on and towards that road of it. And Tucker's like, you know, are you kidding me? That's not what he's saying. Of course, people who come here legally and contribute to our society, we are all for supporting them. But when they come here illegally, and they're already thrown into our hospitals, and taxpayers have to pay that bill, how is that fair to the American people?